Hey, Pisstown pals. This is District Sentinel Radio, the newscast of record for the left. I'm Sam Sachs.
I'm Sam Knight.
With that volume up over there. We are in the Sentinel Fort in Washington, D.C. Check out the old website, districtsentinel.com.
Listen, my volume may have been up just now, but that pales in comparison to what just took place before the live stream started. Fortunately, Sam has his mouth cam.
Mouth cam is working.
Wasn't working, but 45 seconds ago, when you were repeatedly smashing the phone with your hand to try to get it to work.
Well, the mouth cam is my backup phone, and my backup phone is my backup phone for a reason. It doesn't fucking work. And in order to get the touchscreen to work, I have to literally smash it against multiple different surfaces until it triggers back on.
Bobby says, hoping for some hot Leica action today. Sorry.
No Leica today.
No Leica. Leica is
Leica
not in the studio.
Leica will be back.
Thinking about just adopting a bunch of animals to help boost our Patreon.
Yeah, we had pretty good numbers on the Leica video, so taking note. I wonder if it's just cute dogs or just any animal in general. Could we put like a peacock right here?
Yeah.
Have a peacock chilling in the middle?
I think so.
Yeah, I know.
I think we should adopt a few cats.
We could adopt some cats.
District Sentinel News.
We have
cats.
We have adopted our intern. Intern Suck. The Intern Suck cam is live online. That cam always works. Doesn't take any massaging before the show. We've always got the Intern Suck camp going. What do we got? There's a show coming up. Not our show.
Not our show. If you are in D.C. tonight, Washington, D.C., damn city, go to the Pinch. Check out the Alex Jonestown Massacre. They're playing a show. The doors are at 7:30.
Good guys.
Good guys.
We did a show with them before.
In Richmond, we did. I am not sure I'm going to make it tonight. I got to be honest with you.
Really?
I was working on the zine.
I thought we were in this together.
I was working on the zine this morning, and I was writing about the insurance regulation of insurance companies, and I thought that as someone who wrote something about insurance companies, I should not go to a punk music show tonight. It doesn't feel right.
That's a pretty good excuse you've thrown out there.
This is... Look, I'm just old. I am old and I am tired.
I am older than Sam Knight. Look, I'm going to try my best to go, but I'm notorious for disappointing people who expect me to leave the house. But I encourage all our listeners to go. Maybe one of the two Sams will be there tonight as well. But kick-ass band, good guys. And the rumor is if you drop the Sentinel name, you get some free merch.
Free merch. I won't rule out that I won't go, but I just...
Okay. Hey, tune in to tomorrow's Sentinel Cast. We got a Sentinel Cast coming out. It's going to be a good one. We got Current Affairs Malaika Jabali on. She went and interviewed a bunch of black voters in Milwaukee, well, people who actually stayed home in 2016 in Milwaukee, gives an interesting explanation of why Hillary Clinton lost and just the mass exodus from the Democratic Party of black voters. So tune into that. We also interview Pennsylvania inmate Bryant Arroyo. Well, we interview him through a proxy. Friend of the show, Ted, who we're going to interview Ted tomorrow, as well as player interview with Bryant, who talks about this really fucked up system that Pennsylvania is imposing on prisons related to mail that is making prisoners' lives even harder, and also it's probably unconstitutional.
Probably unconstitutional. It sounds unconstitutional as hell.
Yeah. So that's all coming up on tomorrow's Sentinel Cast, which all of you, as Patreon subscribers, have access to. We do have a haiku to get to later in the show, but first, it's Thursday, October 18th, 2018. Here's the news. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is back from the fact-finding mission in Saudi Arabia, in which Pompeo didn't ask for a single fact about the disappearance of Jamal Khashoggi. In fact, let's just ask the secretary right now which facts he learned while he was over there.
I don't have anything to say about that.
That's what I thought. Pompeo reportedly advised President Trump to give Riyadh time and space to conduct an investigation. I'm sure that investigation will be legitimate and completely thorough. But if you're an observer hoping all this blows over, if you're a Saudi lobbyist or something, I know there are a lot of those in town, probably not listening to the show, but still a lot of them here in Pisstown. News today might shake you. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin tweeted today that he will not attend a Saudi investment summit as was previously planned. Quote, just met with Donald Trump and Secretary Pompeo, and we have decided I will not be participating in the Future Investment Initiative Summit in Saudi Arabia. So,
it's a few dollars down the drain for us. We had put money on predicted that Mnuchin would be going to
in the
Saudi
interest of full
Arabia.
disclosure, we did have $4 invested on Mnuchin going to this summit.
It was a lock. It was a lock.
We figured it was a lock. Apparently, it's not a lock. So maybe Pompeo learned something actually in Saudi Arabia to advise Mnuchin to cancel his plans here. I don't know.
Maybe what he learned is let's not make this an overt PR disaster.
Yeah. They're being a little too obvious in the whitewash here is maybe the lesson that's being learned. Republican Senator Bob Corker complained last night, though, that the White House was suddenly restricting from senators intelligence reports on the disappearance of Khashoggi. The administration also canceled a planned briefing for Tuesday. Corker told reporters, quote, I can only surmise that probably the intel is not painting a pretty picture as it relates to Saudi Arabia. Corker told the Washington Post that based on prior intelligence he's reviewed, everything indicates that Khashoggi was murdered, and it all points to the Crown Prince being behind it, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. Now, look, I still think it's pretty obvious Trump is trying to find a way out of this and find a way that absolves MBS and preserves the U.S.-Saudi alliance, but no doubt that's turning out to be a lot more difficult than they had planned.
The White House is asking the Supreme Court to stop a lawsuit against the U.S. government for exacerbating climate change. The move comes just days after administration lawyers failed again to get the suit dismissed. The battle is currently before a federal court in Eugene, Oregon. This week, District Judge Ann Aiken reaffirmed that the teenage plaintiffs suing the U.S. government, they do have standing to bring litigation. The case is set to go to trial phase at the end of the month. That is, if the Supreme Court, doesn't intervene. This lawsuit hasn't just attracted attention because it's being brought by teens. According to Climate Liability News, Judge Aiken is the first member of the federal judiciary to recognize, quote, the constitutional right to a safe climate. The plaintiffs initially launched their lawsuit during the Obama administration in 2015. They want a review of aggregate action by multiple agencies, as Aiken noted this week. Despite this relatively meager request for relief, the White House is looking to bring the case to an abrupt halt. In its petition to the Supreme Court, Solicitor General Noel Francisco said, quote, this suit is an attempt to redirect federal environmental and energy policies through the courts rather than through the political process by asserting a new and unsupported fundamental due process right to certain climate conditions, end of quote. So for those keeping score at home, the Constitution gives you the right to own any gun you want. An inhabitable planet, not so much.
I do enjoy the story of the teens suing the president. Makes you think that the teens, hey, they're all right. The teens are good. But then you read a story like out of California about those teens baking ashes into cookies and feeding them to their classmates.
Look, I don't think that's representative.
Sure it is.
Teens.
Those are the teens. That's what the teens are doing nowadays. Pretty dark stuff. But hopefully they'll win this lawsuit. All right.
In a shock, the lawsuit was overturned because they baked their grandparents' ashes into the cookies and gave them to Solicitor General Noel Francisco.
I'm okay with that. All right, let's take a quick break to read some poetry. One poem, one haiku to get to today. Sam Knight, do you want to do the honors?
Indeed, I will. This is for Kyle. Trump rally tailgate. Gas grill mishap explosion. Ha ha ha, oh well.
Thank you, Kyle. And thank you to all of you, all the subscribers out there on Patreon, patreon.com/District Sentinel.
Smooth there, cutting the haiku music short.
We had to. Only time for one haiku there, so...
There wasn't a smooth fade option, though?
I tried to do it smoother. I fucked it up a little bit, okay?
Okay, on to the news. There are more questions about another cabinet official misleading the public about the Trump administration's immigrant family separation policy. This summer, after the White House reversed the policy, Secretary of Health and Human Services Alex Azar may have lied about the tracking of kids ripped apart from their parents. The accusations were made today by two Democratic senators, Elizabeth Warren and Ron Wyden. The lawmakers noted in a letter to Azar that an inspector general report published last month calls into doubt claims that he and his department made during the summer. Now, specifically, HHS and the Department of Homeland Security said they could track separated children and tie them to their parents through, quote, a central database. Azar also testified before the Senate days later, claiming that through an agency computer, quote, within seconds, I could find any child in our care for any parent available. Last month, however, the DHS Inspector General released a report on the family separation fiasco. On DHS and HHS claims of maintaining a central database, the audit, quote, found no evidence that such a database exists.
So we just made it up.
While there were some efforts to gather information about kids taken from their parents, it was in a spreadsheet, one created after DHS and HHS claimed to have a central database. So Senators Warren and Wyden now want Azar to answer questions about if his testimony was, quote, inaccurate or misleading. As we noted last month, documents released via FOIA request also show that DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen lied about family separation, that she directed her agents to separate kids from their parents to prosecute their parents. Throughout the year, however, she publicly claimed otherwise, like in this tweet from June 17th, quote, we do not have a policy of separating families at the border, period. Also, as we have noted on the show, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross has been accused of lying to Congress about immigration policy, though not the family separation policy. Ross was accused of lying about the addition of a citizenship question on the 2020 census, erroneously claiming that the Justice Department wanted him to add the questions. So that's 3 cabinet secretaries now, at least, accused of lying about immigration. Is Sessions on there too? I don't know if he's been accused of. He hasn't had time yet. He's just been cowering.
Well,
at all this abuse he's taking from Trump.
Yeah. Finally today, in an interview with CBS on Thursday, former Vice President Joe Biden said that if Democrats take the House, he really hopes they don't move to impeach Donald Trump. He didn't say he's afraid of the political blowback or anything. Biden simply said, quote, I don't think there's a basis for doing that right now. Well, he's not fucking paying attention then. Impeachment is, of course, a political act. Simply activating white supremacy in the U.S. is grounds for impeachment of Donald Trump, in my opinion. Also, assuming Biden actually gave a shit about all that stuff, for the record. But on top of that, we've reported multiple times how Trump is in violation of the Emoluments Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Courts have found similarly. Trump is receiving benefits from foreign dignitaries who stay at his D.C. hotel. He's also using the power of the White House to secure profits for his businesses. Look no further than what ranking Democrats on various House oversight committees released on Thursday. It It was an email showing President Trump's direct involvement in scrapping a long-approved plan to move the FBI headquarters out of D.C. to a cheaper location in the suburbs. Instead, Trump directed that the FBI headquarters remain at its current location, be demolished, and rebuilt right where it stands. A much more expensive option, more expensive to the tune of like a couple hundreds of millions of dollars more. So why might the president be directly intervening on this issue of where to build the next FBI headquarters? Well, because the current one sits across the street from Trump's D.C. hotel. And if it were to be moved, that would open up some prime real estate for developers to compete with Trump's business. This is at least what Democrats on the committee are alleging. They are also accusing General Services Administration Administrator Emily Murphy of misleading Congress when she testified that she didn't have communication with Trump or White House officials about the matter of moving the FBI. The released email, as well as this official White House photo of Murphy meeting with Trump and other officials, disprove that. Oversight Democrats are now requesting more documents from the administration on its motivations for keeping the FBI headquarters in its current location. In a letter, they stated, quote, Trump should not have played any role in a determination that bears directly on his own financial interests with the Trump Hotel. The GSA also should have taken steps to wall off the decision from proper influence. And that'll do it for the newscast today. Sam Knight, what do we have going on in the chat room?
We have Joe sympathizing, saying leaving the house is just the worst.
Yeah, Joe.
I agree. Someone says, listening at work, can't watch because I'm cleaning blood, guts, and literal shit off surgical instruments. Thanks for the solidarity y'all provide. Anyone else at work?
Damn.
Benjamin says, I'm at work on my hidden screen. Luke berating me for not going to the show and giving my excuse. He says, Knight, I would go and I make money off Wall Street. You can probably then, therefore, afford a cab home and like 10 beers. This is not something I can afford. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all preachy there. Yeah. Bobby saying John Kelly is filling his diaper because John Bolton yelled at him. I'm not sure if that's referencing a story that has developed that we don't know about because it happened right when we got on the air, or if it's just irony. Graham says Graham. I'm not sure how anyone pronounces it these days. Trump Biden 2020. Ryan Lawrence. Joe Biden guilty. Joe Biden guilty.
I can get behind that. We'll probably revisit that issue on tomorrow's Sentinel cast. Call the rant line 202-684-6108.
Luke is saying only have shares in the company I work for, LMAO. So maybe I was a little too harsh on Luke there.
Our sweet boy Luke. Sponsors of the show include the Congressional Dish podcast hosted by Jen Briney. Find it at congressionaldish.com. Another sponsor, levelnews.org. Tune in to Friday's Sentinel cast. The newscast is back next week. We're here in D.C. so that you don't have to be.
Graham is what he's writing in the chat. Graham. Bobby also says the story's developing.